Hey everybody, Angel Undisputed here, and I'm joined by the LA Collective. Representatives are Profesor Galactico himself in the flesh. Look at him. And we got David. It's just David.
It's just
Hey,
David.
yeah, just Davi.
Yeah. Thank you guys for being on, man. Appreciate you guys' time and everything.
No, thank you. David.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
thank you for having us.
Awesome.
Yeah, no. Well, let's get right to it.
Let's get it.
I'm going to start off with the generic questions first, and then I'll get into the nitty gritty, because here's the thing, folks. I've known these guys for a long, long time personally, so I'm going to ask them those dirty, really, really deep down questions that nobody else would think to ask them, because I know things.
Very, very filthy questions.
Be gentle.
Yes, very gentle. But let's get the generic ones out of the way. Do you guys like wrestling?
Well, yeah, I grew up watching wrestling, a little bit of WWF and WCW. I think when it was, they were like the two popping things back in the '90s. You know,
Okay.
Yeah, same here. Back in the WWF era,
I was like on and off. You know,
I wasn't. I really liked it as a kid.
That's cool. And then, but who was your favorite wrestler? Let's go with you, Nick.
for me, oh man, wow. I think it just depends what era. You know, because I had some wrestlers that I mean, I used to like Tatanka. I don't know if anyone remembers Tatanka.
Yes.
I used to like Tatanka. He was really cool. Who was the other one?
That's a deep cut, too, man.
yeah.
That's a deep cut.
Lex Luger was a little cool sometimes too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like so, I mean, obviously, like you know, everyone,
You're taking it
everyone,
back.
yeah, everyone really liked the old school like Hulk Hogan and stuff, and those were the very generic ones.
Yeah,
Those
of
were ones
course.
that everyone kind of liked those. But I was like, you know, like I got into wrestling because of my neighbors and because of one of my neighbors had cable. And so we would watch the pay-per-views at his house, you know.
Was it a black box or they actually paid for it?
It was a black box.
More than likely, yeah. That's how I saw a lot of my wrestling when I was younger. It was on a black box.
Yeah, they had to do the code or whatever, and we just did it to watch those like pay-per-views. Though that and the boxing, obviously the boxing.
Yeah.
Mexican families have the
boxing.
The
scene.
boxing.
Yeah, you gotta get all the
Yeah.
boxing matches.
That's true. What about you, David? Who's your favorite wrestler?
Favorite wrestler? Well, off the top of my head, I would just say Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a good one too.
I mean, there's a lot of wrestlers. It's really hard, but I'm gonna leave it there because I think he was like
He was like, I don't give a F.
he was at the peak
Yeah.
during the peak of wrestling, I
The
believe.
Attitude Era. That's the era that I wanted to get to after the early one.
Yeah.
The Attitude. That was the one that kind of like broke the juice for everyone. Like a lot of people started getting into wrestling because of that, because it seemed like the acting on it was so real, dog. You know,
Yeah.
it was just. It almost didn't look like it was acting.
It
looked
was
like
really
those fools
good.
were really just messing
was
with
really
each
good.
other. It
Going
was
at
so
it, yeah.
tight.
Now, the Attitude Era was cool. At least for me, my favorite wrestler of all time, The Rock, came from that era.
Dude,
Oh,
that
yeah,
was
The
my
Rock?
next one too.
Next
The
one,
Rock,
okay.
The Rock is awesome, dude. Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
He was one of the ones that kind of like.
He's a movie star now.
Yeah, he's a super.
Well, it makes sense, you know. That
Yeah.
was all it's really about. It's putting on a good show, and he was able to get the crowd going, get them behind him. So
Yeah, dude.
even when he was, I guess, considered a bad guy, even as a kid, granted, when you're really, really young, it doesn't register that it's story. So you
Yeah.
still you get behind the hero.
Yeah.
Because there's a bad guy and a villain, so you keep that going. But
Yeah.
even when he turned bad, I still rolled with him.
The Rock
Dude.
was great as
Yeah.
a bad guy. As a heel, he was
always a people's
awesome.
champion, dog. No matter what. you
Yeah,
know?
That's
even
true.
when he was calling everyone a jabroni and
Yeah.
being super rude.
Yeah.
Dude, they named the show after his slogan, "Laying the Smackdown."
That's
Get
true.
out of here, dog.
He
You
had his
know?
own show with his cat fridge. That's
Dude.
pretty cool.
That's like beyond me. Like he's the one that did it. The kind of one of the biggest impact too. He changed it up. He made it more like inclusive with everything. You know what I mean?
I
It's
gotcha.
tight.
And let's do one final wrestling question. What was your all-time favorite wrestling moment that you can recall? One that you can think back to and be like, that's my favorite wrestling moment.
Oh damn. This one's hard. You want to answer this one first?
I'll take this one. For me, my all-time favorite wrestling moment was when Steve Austin was chugging the beers with the beer truck in the ring,
Uh-huh.
and he was spraying everyone with the hose. It was so ridiculous. It wasn't even a match, and that was my favorite wrestling moment.
You know what? One
I'll
of my-
never do that ever
I
again.
think I remember now. I remember now. It was a match. It was like it wasn't even a like. I think it was like an intercontinental match. From the 90s again.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels versus Razor
Razor
Ramon.
Ramon.
The
Wrestle-
ladder match.
ladder match.
Oh my god.
Shawn
dude.
Michaels has a lot of good
That was like
matches.
one
Yeah,
of,
he does.
I think I don't know if it was the first ladder match or one of the first ladder matches. But bro, I was like, this is wow. This is fucking awesome. Like the way they were just kept crawling back up to try to get the belt from the thing. You know,
The
like
top, yeah.
dude, that shit was awesome. That was one of my favorite.
So
moments.
fun fact, not a lot of people know this, but they did have a rematch, and it was a ladder match. But
one, yeah.
at that time, they got hit with like the FCC and all that would let them know like, oh, this is too much, too dangerous. So it was a ladder match, but they weren't able to actually use it as a weapon.
Right.
So imagine that.
I remember.
You're in a
I
ladder
remember
match,
those
but you
times.
can't use it up until you have to climb up. So you can't
Yeah.
throw him into. You can't do anything with it.
You get disqualified.
All the extra
Yeah,
rules, all the
exactly,
extra
yeah.
rules.
Yeah, they were more like strict for sure. Like, but this is pre-Attitude Era.
Yeah,
too,
right
you know what I mean?
before,
Like,
yeah, the cusp.
Yeah, before everything got like the Dudley Boys, bro.
Ooh.
When they
Oh.
brought ECW and like, dude, that was so crazy.
The
Like,
hardcore
my,
wrestling
my
did, yeah.
whole mind got blown.
When Kevin Nash came back
Kevin
That
Nash.
too.
after they bought WCW.
With the NWO when that
Mhm.
going, and then
It
The
was
Rock Hogan,
Hulk
WrestleMania.
Hogan.
Bizarre, man. But
Razor came back too, but he wasn't.
Scott Hall?
Scott Hall came back, but he didn't have a presence like he used to.
Nah, well, eventually when all the drinks start adding up to you, anybody, whether you're a big time wrestler or just a
Yeah.
normal guy like us,
Yeah,
that'll get you eventually, just like anything else. But
Mucho
funny
machismo.
that you mentioned that moment because my overall wrestling moment of all time is WrestleMania 18, Hulk Hogan versus The Rock. So it's funny that you mentioned that because
Oh,
that's what led
good.
into that story.
That's real good.
That's
Yeah,
Two-
man.
nothing-
two
that's
legends.
another one, dude.
That was my favorite
Wow.
match ever, man. Plain
Yeah,
and simple.
that's another one. That's another one that's on my button on my head.
The
that-
list.
Yeah, on the list, dude. That I was like, yeah, dude. Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. They always put on a badass
Yeah,
Together, yeah.
performance, dude. It was so, when The Rock fucking standard Stone Cold with his own move.
With his own move, yeah.
When they were just, that was just like even more like, oh my god, these was just having too much fun now. You know?
Yeah, no, that was definitely
But it
yin
was
and
great
yang.
'cause
Yeah, yin
the-
and yang on that one.
The crowd loved it, and it was just like a phenomenal atmosphere and a time to see that stuff, you know.
who
Yeah.
was the good guy in that moment? Was it Stone Cold or was it The Rock?
I think it
I
would
think
be
it was
Stone
maybe
Cold.
Stone
It
Cold,
was
yeah.
Stone Cold
but
because they're both
yeah.
the bad guy.
But it was the Attitude Era, so it was just like you kind of went with the attitude
Of
you
it,
know,
yeah.
of-
That's
of-
what made it different because, yeah, I
you're
mean,
like, oh, I kind of like people kind of just
you could choose in a sense who you'd want to be with. Because
Yeah.
if you look at all their matches, when they both came out, they both got an equal amount of like. crowd
Yeah,
reaction, so-
they were both up there. That's why
Yeah.
their dynamic was great.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's true. Just like the dynamic you guys have as LA Collective. Now we can transition over to that. You guys do have a great dynamic, and
Yeah.
Oh,
here's one
thank you.
thing I remember back then before you guys were LA Collective.
Yeah.
And let's take it back to that. Now, ladies and
Wow.
gentlemen, enough with the wrestling questions.
We can go back.
Let's go back in time because I can sit here and do a normal artist, type of interview like, oh, how did you get involved? What's your name? What do you play? But wow, here at Comptonmania, I'm not going to do that. I know them
Right.
personally, so I'm going to ask them the deeper, tougher questions. Also because, let's start off with this. Let me set the stage. I personally feel that the way you guys came about parallels to the same way Undisputed World Champions came about because all of us sitting here, we were somewhere else before this. We don't have to say any names, but
Right,
we were
right.
somewhere else. We weren't in
Okay.
this building.
Yeah. We definitely grew. You know.
Yes.
Like it's just a different time, and when you're learning things, you know what I mean.
Yeah, but let me ask you this, and then David, I'll ask you a variation because your journey was a little bit different. But
Yeah.
Nick, I'll start off with you. How was it when you finally decided with Ralph and Javi to leave where you were and do this, something brand new? You guys didn't leave to something else that was already established or existing.
Yeah.
You guys left one established
Start from
space
scratch again.
and started from scratch. How did that feel at that time, man?
We kind of had already kind of started our projects, you know, like
Mhm.
we've always written music, you know. I've been writing songs since I was like 14. I've been playing guitar since then, you know, and drums I've been playing since earlier than that.
Yeah.
So, like, to me, I just wanted to be creative and record my music, you know, write
Mhm.
songs, and just, have fun with it, you know, because I was like, oh, I learned these things, so, like, I could put them to use, you know, like,
Yeah.
kind of put two and two together. I'm like, okay, let me try to be smart and do something with my life to try this, you know? Like, fuck. Like, every Latino family has, that sacrifice that they do when they come to this country.
Yeah.
So that's how I put it. I'm like, I need to not be a fuck up.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what it comes down to,
Yeah, and David, you came to LA Collective maybe in a little bit different circumstances, maybe a little bit later in
Yeah.
the timeline. how was your experience leaving where you were and coming to something different?
Oh, well, my experience when I first started working with Nico and working with the LA Collective was that it was just a really fun place to be, and it felt like everyone else was also pulling their own weight.
Uh-huh.
And there was a air of seriousness in the room when I was always with them. So it was a very easy transition I made back from where I came from, as you might be able to put it.
Yeah.
That's it. Honestly, maybe I felt happy too because I found a group of guys who were
It's more fulfilling. That's the truth. The
Who are
truth
having
is
just
that,
as much
like,
fun.
we get to express our art, have fun with it, and share it with some cool dudes, and to the world. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so that's what just like it was just one of those things where we needed balance, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Sometimes in life you don't have the right balance, depending on your surroundings. You know what I mean? Your atmosphere.
Yeah,
you're
I
around with.
agree.
So that's why it's like, you like, sometimes you want more. You want something different. You want something that's gonna actually be something. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I get what you mean.
It's
And I was feeling the same thing, too, with my experience. Here's one thing that, from where we come from in the Los Angeles ska scene, there's a few things that I feel are overlooked.
Yeah.
And not even overlooked, not even thought of. But in anywhere else, like a professional athlete or just a professional wrestler, there is a shelf life. There is an expiration date eventually.
yeah, dude.
And I think in the LA ska scene, there isn't
comes-
something like that. People don't
yeah.
realize that there may be a time where you shouldn't be doing things. And in my experience, I felt that maybe that time was done and I had to do something new. So
yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. You start feeling it. You start
Something
feeling
that's a little bit more work, a little bit more.
I think it takes a lot of humility, though, to
Yeah,
sit there and realize, like,
yeah,
I think this is done. And that's okay. That's not a bad thing. You know, nothing's forever. But
yeah. That's why
Yeah.
that's why for us it was easy to do that transition because we were already doing it.
yeah, okay.
It wasn't like we were still gonna do it regardless, even if we were still, performing with our previous project.
or went to someone else's band or
Or
something.
going to
No,
someone-
yeah.
we
found
would still be
something.
doing it.
Because
found
you guys are all
something
great
eventually.
musicians, so that I have
Thank you, man.
no doubt that you guys would have had a hard time finding a job somewhere. That would have been easy for you
Dude,
guys.
I was determined to just try to make it a career, Or
Yeah.
somewhat like make it into the path
Of course.
and plant the seed and just let it see what fruition happens off of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. And then here's one thing that you guys did too that was drastically different from what was occurring. I remember at that time, even to this day, a lot of the bands are following more of the similar like lyrical content, similar themes, similar imagery.
Similar breakdowns.
Yeah,
and stuff
but
like
you
that.
guys, I feel, in a good way, did something that was completely 180 from what you guys were already doing before and from what everyone else was doing. It felt more like of a pop thing that you guys were incorporating into ska in a good way, obviously because you guys are still here in this day.
Yeah, I mean, we listen to we listen to a lot of radio music too.
Yeah.
We listen to anything that makes us feel good, and then sometimes we just want to make something that's gonna try to make someone else feel good too.
Of course, yeah.
So
Well, that's what music's about. It's
that's
about
what-
evoking an emotion, and then in your case, you guys
Yeah.
are trying to get smiles on people's faces.
Yeah,
So.
any kind of music, dude, is
Yeah.
emotional, dog. Even if it's thrash or metal, there's some type of emotion deep down on that shit, dog. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
of course.
So it's like, once you find that out, that's when you can understand it. You know what I mean?
But was there ever a point, because I feel with Undisputed, we went through this, where we were obviously sitting back, listening to the master, and then questioning, it was like, is what we're saying going to be too far out, where it's going to weird people out, or is it actually going to work? I mean, thankfully for us, I guess safe to say it worked in some cases, because we're fortunately traveling and
You're
you
doing
know,
things. Yeah, you're doing
we're doing good. We're out here hustling.
Yeah.
But how did you guys feel about that? Did you guys have a question about that in your minds? Like, Jesus, this may be too.
I honestly, I like to cater to any kind of people, any kind of person.
Yeah.
So
Because this wasn't
Some of my-
about
some of my-
anti-government stuff that everyone was doing at this
Yeah.
time. It wasn't about
yeah,
whatever other topic at that time about scary monster stuff. I don't know.
Yeah,
it was a weird
I
time.
kinda- I kind of just went with what I was feeling in the time, or if I saw something like a movie or something, or
Yeah.
or an event, some news that I was like, oh, man, this
Mhm.
kind of stroke a nerve, and I want to write about it or something. And
Okay.
sometimes you'll probably hear it in one of the songs that I have or something.
Yeah, because you guys have a lot of songs. I actually wrote it down here. So just you as Profesor Galactico have 4 full albums, multiple singles and EPs, and with the Paranoias they have 3 full albums, 1 live album, multiple singles and EPs. So you guys have a lot of music.
A lot of
Yeah.
There's a catalog out there.
Yeah.
And we have a couple more songs or a couple more projects that we're trying to put out too. And we're working with different artists too. So, and you even recorded here too some of your stuff.
I did.
So that's awesome.
awesome.
You know, I
Yeah.
really appreciate you and I appreciate what you do. You know what I mean?
No,
So-
likewise. Well, now that we're talking about each other and showing love to each other, here's a fun fact that most people won't know. It was a blink and you miss it moment in my life, but I was a part of Profesor Galactico's live band for a few short moments when I was really young.
Yeah.
Which was a good experience because here's one thing, and not because I'm in front of you or anything, I'm going to say this, but there's been hundreds and thousands of conversations where people would always ask me, who are your favorite musicians or drummers in the LA ska scene? I always said you were number 1.
Damn, bro, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Hey,
If I was
thank
going to
you.
be Kobe Bryant, you were going to be the Michael Jordan.
You know, I still remember when we practiced in your garage a few
And
times.
that-
That was
that,
the first
yes.
rehearsal ever.
Ever.
First rehearsal
And
ever.
my mom's garage in Watts. Yeah, dude. Fun fact.
We were practicing for it was Scotland. No, not Scotland.
Nah, that was way before that. This didn't,
No,
that didn't
it
even
was probably
exist.
it was probably a
We were
Scott
doing
Corn
this-
Invasion.
Yeah, it was one of those.
No, it was
It wasn't. We played a show in Southgate. I forgot. I think
Ska
it was,
Wars.
No, it wasn't.
No,
that was
it
too.
wasn't.
Okay, we did that one too.
Ska
Yes,
Wars.
he's right. He's correct. But I remember it was a blink and you miss a moment to me. That was awesome because I was maybe like 17, 18. I was really young, and to have one of my favorite drummers ever, choose me to play his drum tracks that he recorded on his own music live. To me, it was like, whoa! I learned so much. Even I know once I got back into it, I came in here and did a few sessions with him just to play drums and practice. So
Yeah, man, we definitely have our little jam sessions, when we can,
yeah, of course.
So that's what's cool.
And then you got an Undisputed song for the homies.
Dude,
Very,
for the
very-
homies.
A song that a lot of people sing
I love
along
that
with
one.
in Portland and San Jose. So
That's so awesome, dude.
that was a banger. But here, I want to bring you back to this. We're going to keep it back in time. I still remember when you gave me a copy, and it was when we had CDs.
Yeah.
For all you youngins, back then, this is how we got our music, on CDs. And it was, on one cover, it was you as a baby. And then in the back, it was the Paranoias. It was the original.
That's
The
that was
original
the
3.
first original split EP that we ever put out.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 4 or 5, 4 songs and 5 songs of Paranoias.
Yeah.
Dude, that thing. Wow.
Some of the best
Circle around,
bangers are on
around.
that album
Mm-hmm.
from the Paranoia. Some of the best bangers are on that album.
That's
Yeah.
true.
And
We
you'll
still play some of those songs for sure.
Yeah, and even some of the Profesor
Yeah,
ones.
some of the
They're,
PG
I mean,
songs.
both bands put on great songs just for, I guess, the debut, right? You'd say.
That was
In
our
a sense,
debut. That was
Yeah.
our debut, dude. That was the first time
It went
anyone
well.
heard of us.
What can you recall from that time? Like, like now that you're sitting here in this place, it's a beautiful place that we're at. Thank you for letting me do this here, by the way.
Thank
But-
you, man.
Like, remember back then at that time, what was it like, man?
Dude, the struggle was fucking real.
Yeah.
Motherfucking real, dude.
These guys were recording inside of Caravan.
Yeah, dude,
In the
I had
middle,
my-
with the middle seat taken out so everyone could sit there like
I'll
Indian
open my
style.
laptop, open GarageBand, start recording our little ideas, and we just.
We just
Dude,
came
that
out,
was,
huh?
the studio was mobile basically. You know?
Yeah.
It was our mobile studio.
Oh, that's not a
That's
bad
good.
idea, actually, having a mobile studio. Damn, I need to turn the RV into a studio now.
Yeah, then you can go on tour, and then while you're on tour, release some records or something.
Yeah.
Go back and forth.
No, but dude, that's how what it was. I had my little Windstar, Ford Windstar. I was like everywhere.
Yeah. I think it's a little van you had, right?
Yeah,
Like a
it was
minivan.
like a blue one.
Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
The transmission gave out eventually, and I just
Uh,
was like, nah, I don't want to fix it. I just get a new car.
yeah, just get a new car, huh? Yeah.
See.
That was the minivan. I had a minivan phase where I was young. I was like, I want to get a minivan because I'm gonna play ska shows forever.
Yeah.
And I need the space.
That's the best thing to have, especially if you're the drummer. Like,
Yeah.
because you have the space, and then you don't have to worry about like, oh fuck, my fucking window's gonna break or
Or something,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
or
then-
someone's gonna break into it,
yeah,
steal it.
because I had tinted windows too.
Okay.
So
So you're able to hide stuff.
yeah,
That's
and
easy.
what's cool too is that some of the shows I didn't even have to take my whole drum set. Sometimes I'll take the snare, the essentials,
The essentials, yeah.
snare, cymbals, and sticks.
Well, I've been there before
Kick
where,
pedal.
where you're playing a show late at night, you get home, and you obviously can't leave it all in. So you're like at
Nah,
1 in the
dude.
morning, you're hauling crap in.
Yep.
No,
You
yeah,
know, to make sure
Job's
you get
not
robbed.
done.
Yeah. That's what most of it is anyway. A lot of people think that, when we go on tour, like when we went to Mexico and New York, that it was all fun and games, but no, it's a lot of traveling, a lot of moving around from place to place for interviews, for photo opportunities in the
Sacrifice,
show.
dude.
It isn't until like 1, 2 in the morning until we finally got a chance to just sit back and be like,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
So
it's nonstop, dude. Especially like us, we're doing our day job. You know what I mean?
yeah, of course.
And then on top of that, we need to have the energy to be able to fucking
Put on a good show and get some
keep
good records
hustling.
out. Yeah, of course.
Mhm.
Well, here, let's keep it with the whole drummer thing because that's what obviously you were known for initially, is just being an amazing drummer. But then you just came out and turned around and became a frontman and a lead singer. So what was that all about?
I don't talk about that too much.
Ah.
But
Yeah,
no,
see?
the fact of the matter is, dude, like my sister passed away when I was in 2004.
Sorry to hear that, brother.
Yeah, no, yeah, and she was actually the singer of the family. And ella que cantaba, so.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a drummer, and I like playing guitar. So like, I felt I was leaning more to the producing direction rather than being the singer and a front man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But had to fucking kind of out of necessity sometimes. You know, like when you want to write songs.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna try. You know, like some people told me I was not good. Some people told me I was okay. I kind of just went with it, dude. I was just like, I'm gonna just have fun with it because the whole point is to have fun with it and just do it to do it. Because if you don't do it, then you lost the opportunity already. You're basically giving up on yourself already, you know?
Yeah, you'll sit there always
I
thinking back, what if, right?
I had to be brave, and I had to be strong, and I had to kind of like go through with it.
Just do it, yeah, man. You just did
and
it.
I just went through with it, and dude, it's been fun though, man. I'm like, damn, I didn't know like I was gonna be able to do it and have a little bit of success from it, you know.
Of course. Yeah.
So that's what's cool, man. I appreciate everyone that's actually listens to the music and listens to the story behind everything, every little lyric.
Yeah, and I know nowadays you're helping out and being a producer for other people. How's that been?
Dude, I'm still growing. I'm still learning. I'm still developing relationships with awesome artists, and so right now I'm just still building my momentum. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I gotcha. And what's sticking with the whole producing for other people thing, I'm legitimately asking people this because I obviously don't know all the answers to everything.
Yeah, dude.
But I know in other forms of music, there's always people behind the scenes that we don't really get to see that probably most of the time make more money off of royalties and publishing just for being songwriters. Why do you guys think that something like that never happened in LA ska, where it was like, somebody accepting a song from somebody else and running with it? Why do you think things like that never occurred?
There's a lot of things. It could be like artistical pride. It could be they just don't know. They don't know. Like you have to know. You have to. This is knowledge that they don't really teach. You know what I mean? So you have to go out of your way to try to learn like the logistics of how like collaborating with songwriting works. You know what I mean? Like just because you see like a bunch of different artists doing features and stuff like that, it doesn't mean that it like everyone's getting their cut.
I know it's kind of hard to answer, right? Because it's like,
it doesn't mean everyone's getting their cut, So,
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So some of them probably just got paid up front.
Yeah.
Some of them do get their percentage of the royalty, and you just never know,
It all depends on how you accept form of payment too when you work on stuff like that.
Yep.
I think.
Yeah, and a lot of the times I think you have to be part of a community that caters to songwriters like that, or like
Of course,
people that just do songwriting, because they might not necessarily be a musician, but they're really good with words and playing, and they're like it's just poetry. You know what I mean? Sometimes, so there's just so many levels and so many different categories of like people that do that kind of stuff. But in the scene, I don't think just people don't know about it. You know what I mean? They don't know that you could do it.
Like you can do that. Hey, it's okay, right?
You come into an agreement and that's it. La cosa es speaking and coming to an agreement. Like conversating and seeing what's best for.
And collaborating should be encouraged because you never know what you could create with someone who you don't necessarily work with every day. Like. Something you would probably have never came up with if you were in the same situation all the time.
Yeah, it comes down to thinking outside the box too, dude. Like you have to know that, like collaborating or working with people is like essential to life. Like we don't get anywhere without connecting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I think we get the misconception out here that it's us against each other, but no, I think it's ska as a genre and in music as a whole that's competing with everything. Because nowadays these kids, they they can get access to anything they want within seconds, man. And it doesn't have to just be music. There's other things taking their attention away from music. So I always think that it's not something that it's us against each other. I think it's ska as a whole against everything else. In reality.
Yeah, it gets left out a lot for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's at the end it's just the music. You know, the music is what's gonna be the whole, and it's how we incorporate our version of of the ska and everything else that we do to make it unique and make it ours, basically, you know, like our own version of that.
That's true. And I know, Nico, you've been doing this for a long, long time. How much longer do you think you'd be doing this? Because these are questions that no one ever really sits down and asks each other. We can always say, "Oh, what are you working on? What's on next?" But like, you know, do you ever think about that day where you're finally gonna be old enough to be like, "Hey"?
No, for me, it's gonna be a challenge to keep going, dude. Like I'm gonna keep going until the wheels fall off, you know.
Yeah.
Until I can't do it no more.
Okay.
Yeah, it's. I'm still. I mean, I'm in a good place. I like where I'm at, but I'm also not too comfortable. I still have more ambition to do more and do other things that are gonna be different, you know.
Yeah. What about you, David?
That's a heavy question.
All right.
But I don't know. I don't like to think about it because, as you said before when we started the interview, everything has a shelf life.
Yeah.
At the moment, I'm enjoying where we're at.
That's good.
And I'm looking forward to the new projects we have planned and that we have started, hoping to get those finished. But yeah, you never know. You never know how much longer anything's going to go. So I don't like to think about it.
That's true.
Okay, that's fair. I told you guys I was going to get deep with some of these things. Yeah.
No, yeah, I mean, I see us doing this for a while longer more, you know?
Definitely. Foreseeable future,
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
be here.
Well, now that we're at the foreseeable future, go ahead and plug it, man. What you guys got up coming in next? Let them know. What we shouting out? What we got to tell?
We got a couple new singles coming out. Profesor has one called El Enamorado. It's gonna
You
be
guys are
pretty
going to
soon.
love that song.
It's definitely a different song. It's a different genre, but hopefully you guys enjoy
But still
it.
very Profesor Galactico.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's still a little weird. But pues ahí se va, you know. And then the Paranoias.
The Paranoias have
We have a song with Vel the Wonder that we're gonna put out. So we have that. Hopefully it comes out in the pretty soon future.
the ASAP.
And the ASAP
future.
And what else do we have? We have a project that we just released. Put on the batteries.
You go.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Class Clown. I was waiting for that one.
Yeah,
That's
no, yeah.
our production side.
And that's one of our first records we put out differently. It's more like ska punk, more like a little more aggressive and fast, you know.
Yeah.
More punk.
More punky,
much
you know?
punk. Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that. It's people are barely listening to it. It just came out 2 weeks ago or so.
Not even
right?
like a week and a week and a half ago. Last week on Thursday.
Yeah, so it just came out. It's barely out there.
It's
Put
called
on the
Class
batteries.
Class Clown, by the way. You can find it on Spotify
Yeah.
and on iTunes.
Wherever you stream things, folks, you can find that. Put on the batteries. Class Clown.
Shout out to the homie Pernell Taylor.
Yeah.
There you go.
And put on the batteries. Don't forget.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it there. Representatives of the LA Collective, the Paranoias, Profesor Galactico, David, Nick. There you have it, guys. Hey, thank you guys for your guys' time. It's been awesome talking to you guys. Thank you for joining Monday Night Comptonmania, man. Hopefully we get to see you guys at one of our shows in the crowd, having a good time watching some good old family fun wrestling.
I'll bring the wrestling chairs.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Let's go back to the studio.